Hello, and thank you for listening to the podcast. We appreciate it, and we appreciate a lot of help from a lot of people all throughout this journey. So we've got a couple of shout-outs we're going to make here. The first shout-out being to Beck Sutton, the graphics designer who is designing our logo. She is the creator and owner of Primal Studios, which can be found on Facebook. Or if you go to primalst.com, you'll be able to find her work there, and she is fantastic at what she does.
Yeah, and the second shout out we'd like to make is to Andrew Stanton, composer of the song Escape the Oppression, which is the kick-ass song for our intro. We love the song, we love the dude. You can check out more of his stuff on soundstripe.com, where there's plenty of songs by plenty of other artists as well, where you can license for podcasts. So go check it out and see what's on there and see what you can use.
Stay frosty. So, hello and welcome to the Songs That Made Us, the podcast that likes to say, do not go into an aquarium during a zombie apocalypse. It's a dumb idea, and whoever came up with that idea needs a slap around the face.
It's all speculation, mate. Don't knock it until you try it. But hopefully you don't have to try it.
Have you tried it?
I haven't tried it because it's not been a zombie apocalypse, but I'm very willing to try it. And when it succeeds, we'll see who has the last laugh.
I will with my Asda takeover. But you're here, of course, with me, Mr. Jake Hughes, and Connor the Reedmeister.
Hello. Oh, Reedmeister, I like that.
It's going to be the master of the reeds. I don't know what that
Out of
means.
all the things to be masters of, it's just the reeds.
Well, you can't be the master of puppets, can you? Oh,
look at that. Straight in.
Well, this week, as we've been self-indulgent in recording, like the last few recordings have been just us, apart from a very special one, which would have been in the past at this point when this one comes out.
Yes.
Potentially. Who knows? Who knows these things? Who can tell the difference between future, past, present?
We're time traveling, Jake.
Well, exactly. Time is not a fixed point. It's constantly ebbing and flowing. Now, where's my Hawking books? But this week, what we're doing in honour of S&M 2 by Metallica coming out on August 28th, we are going to be doing a retrospective on the original S&M from 1999.
Yeah, and a little bit about Metallica in general as well, which were a very big band for both of us growing up.
Oh, they were massive. Like when we were teens, Metallica was like, you had to love them. And we had some friends who were very much like, you have to love everything they do.
Yeah.
Or you're not a true fan. And it's like, I can't bring myself to like Saint Anger.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie, though, I got caught up in that hype. I think I was just so happy to have joined a band, be with a group of guys that also loved music, but unfortunately...
Kicked out your best friend. There's no lingering resentment on that.
No, not at all. Not unfortunately, because I do love the music, but one of the things that most of those guys listened to a lot of was thrash metal, heavy metal, and then that led us to all be massive Metallica fans. And it dominated our lives for a good couple of years.
Yeah, I think as we've gotten older, though, I think we've probably both gone the same kind of way, where it's like, we love Metallica, but we don't love modern Metallica as much.
Completely. I mean, I still appreciate Metallica, and I'll still definitely listen to the first 4 albums. I think my stance on that has always been clear as well. I've always liked the first 4 albums way more than anything else they've done. Although 100%. I did like Saint Anger at the time, I remember that. And I will listen to it every now and then. Now, even though it's got the worst sounding snare drum in any recording ever.
Apparently that was all instinctive. Like when they went to record, he was just like, oh, James is writing a riff. I've got to record drums in behind this. And then, yeah.
Yeah, they were looking for a special sound. I mean, that's all well documented on the amazing documentary,
Some kind of monster.
Some Kind of Monster, which is worth it. The album coming out is worth that documentary being made
Yeah,
in
yeah.
itself.
It's
The documentary is better than the album.
Metallica with the therapist.
Yeah,
Great.
exactly. Yeah.
It made them look like the least metal band in the
Mm.
world.
And obviously, we still both appreciate them as musicians. I love the fact they're still going. They've still got, a mass fan base. They'll still sell out every gig they do. S&M is going to be huge in that sphere of music if you're into that kind of music.
Well, bear in mind,
And
mate, up on my wall, I've still got a flag, a Kill 'Em All flag.
there you go. Yeah, amazing album. But yeah, and they're still excellent musicians. They're not as good as they were, but for their age and for how long they've been doing it, for what they've been through, yeah, you got to give them props.
Correction, Rob Trujillo and James Hetfield are good musically.
Mm.
I think Lars and Kirk let the side down a little bit live.
Yeah, I'd
Not in
agree.
S&M, but nowadays
Yeah, nowadays, but I'd still think, I
they
could
are
never,
also
I
mid
could,
50s.
yeah, exactly. They would still kick my ass at the drums. Like, well, Lars would still kick most people's ass at the
Well,
drums.
you could probably keep beat better than him though.
Maybe, yeah, timing.
Yeah, your time would be excellent. Um, but then saying that though, like fucking Iron Maiden are what 60s now, or pushing 60s at the very
Yeah,
least.
but they're like god tier.
Yeah, they're
They just
freaks.
they never got they never changed. They're still the exact same. It's like they're I don't know. They don't live inside their bodies, or their bodies are more just a coating, and they're still very very young
Well, I
and
think
nimble inside.
the only thing that's changed is Bruce Dickinson's vocal slightly, but that's because he had throat cancer, which
Yeah, which is
you,
more than fair enough.
yeah, you
But
can't really help.
he's still pretty amazing.
Oh yeah, he's still phenomenal. That's the
Yeah.
annoying thing. But we're already getting off topic. But um, do you know why? Do you know what Bruce Dickinson credited his throat cancer to? Like, I'd say
No.
dedicated. I mean, what do you reckon? So, do you remember what Michael Douglas's reasoning was?
No.
Given too much head
Oh
to
right.
his partner. So
Fair.
yeah, they both credited cunnilingus as causing throat cancer because of I think it's HPV, isn't it?
Uh,
Which is a shame because it's a good activity, but
I think it just pushes their rock star image. But
yeah,
they're
they
good rock stars. They're nice rock stars where they'll go, I give as much effort as I take.
hey, look, yeah, I'm going to give pleasure as well, but watch out for the old throaty cancer. I
Yeah,
don't,
yeah.
I don't want to get that again.
Yeah. But you know what? It's not off topic though, because I think a lot of this podcast is going to be a little bit of a discussion about as bands age and do they deteriorate? Is it worth it? I mean, of course it is worth it. I mean, they still have as I said, they still have a massive fan base. They still give shows that people absolutely adore. And, it will be a sad day when bands like Metallica and Iron Maiden say they're retiring fully, and quitting, or the Rolling Stones or anything like that. And
Well, put it this way, Motorhead kept going until Lemmy died.
exactly,
So I
yeah,
reckon it's going to take Bruce Dickinson or actually, I don't reckon it'll be Bruce that goes first. For some reason, I reckon it's going to be Dave Murray for Maiden.
fair.
I
But
reckon he just keel
I
over
think,
doing a mad hammer on solo.
yeah, but I think there is something to say of like, do you quit while you're ahead? Because I do think, I mean, we'll have a different opinion on Iron Maiden, but I do think personally, for almost all of these bands, I can't think of many bands that have reached, the tier where you're still 50, 60 doing the same music, where you haven't deteriorated in quality.
It's harder with Maiden because they've had, what is it, at least like sort of 3 or 4 separate paths. So, like initial Iron Maiden, you've got Paul Diano,
Yeah,
where you've got Iron Maiden and Killers, which are 2 phenomenal albums but more punky. Then you've
yeah,
got like the golden Bruce Dickinson era with Power Slave, Number of the Beast, Seventh Son of the Seventh Son,
yeah.
all of that like fucking amazing, Peace of Mind, amazing fucking albums. Then
Mm,
Bruce and Adrian Smith left. Then you had the Blaze Bailey era for 2 albums,
yeah. So
which
they've
was
been switching it up a lot.
well, and then you had the return of Bruce for Brave New World.
Yeah,
And so Brave New World, Dance of Death, and A Matter of Life and Death are fucking excellent albums. I
yeah.
think
They did.
Final Frontier and was it called Book of Souls, that's what it's called.
Yeah.
I think they have deteriorated on those, but they're still trying to branch out. But like Book of Souls still has excellent songs, like Tears of a Clown, which is a song about.
I don't deny that these bands still can't do amazing songs. I mean, like Fleetwood Mac are the same, and they still churn out a great song here and there.
Did you hear about Lindsey Buckingham?
The whole quality of like, you know, making a fully amazing album does, in
It's
my
harder
opinion.
to do because you've already kind of written everything you can, I think, at a certain point.
Yeah, I've always kind of thought of like this 5 album rule as well. You know, like I don't know, it does obviously exist, but I think of a lot of the bands, and I always go, you know, well, after 5 albums, you kind of become a satire of yourself almost. I think they talk about that a lot in literature as well, don't they? Or you know, when they talk about TV shows where you hit the fifth
Oh
season.
god, yeah, TV shows especially because
Yeah, there's a point in time where you've explored your sort of genre and your tone to the limits, and then everything you make outside of that almost feels like a I don't know, a plagiarism or a satire on everything you've done before, where
I'd
it
say
starts
that
to sound a bit silly.
there are bands that massively flout that though, because obviously Maiden have had 600 albums at this point. I
Yeah,
think I
Red
think
Hot Chili's.
Red Hot Chili's, and obviously they've changed it, like with the times as well. Like their music's
Completely.
expanded and gotten better. The Cribs, they've done 7 albums now, I believe,
Yeah, fair, fair.
and
I
their
mean,
last album,
they're still very young. They just churn out music quite quickly.
well, probably about 40s now, I think.
Yeah, fair. I mean,
But no, their last album was fucking amazing.
yeah,
24/7 rockstar shit, as it's called. But
yeah.
no, Motorhead are the perfect example of what you were saying though, because they from when was Ace Space released? Say early 80s. They released the same album then for the rest of their careers.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I would actually say Metallica are the best example of it because,
Oh,
you know,
they didn't
their
release same
their
songs. They
first.
just deteriorated in
Well,
quality.
yeah, but it was a 5 album rule. I mean, like as much as I think the first 4 albums are definitely their own section and their own brilliance. Um, I have to admit that the Black Album got a massive audience, and it was really well loved, and it's a very different album to what they've done before, but it is a very good album, objectively, I suppose. And as I've gotten older, I've actually started to listen to that one more and more. Maybe because it's a bit more mellow. It's not mellow, but more mellow than the ones before.
I think I've gone the opposite way. I think as I've gotten older, I've listened to that album less
Really.
because we all know
Well,
what
I
I
didn't
love.
like that album when I first listened to it. I didn't like that album because I dove in head first into really heavy stuff, and I was like, yeah, I like that
Yeah,
heavy shit. Um,
I've regressed because I've gone back. Like, And Justice for me is my favorite, which is the
yeah,
fourth album.
yeah. I
Which,
think that's their most skill-based album, if that's the right way to
oh
say it.
god, yeah, like Lars's drumming on that album is fucking phenomenal. Obviously,
Everyone's.
you can't hear the bass, but
Mm.
aside from that, like the actual bass lines themselves, though, are extremely good considering it's Jason's first proper album
Yeah,
with the band.
That's them at peak thrash. I think like
Oh yeah,
they mastered thrash with that album, and I don't know if that. I think it's definitely the best thrash album ever made, and I don't
yeah,
know if
I'll
they'll
go with
ever
that.
top it. It's not my favorite Metallica album personally. My favorite's always been Ride the Lightning, but that's more just
Yeah,
to do with the songs on it. I can't deny though that And Justice for All, you know, is just if anybody tries to cover any song from And Justice for All, it will not sound good.
I don't know. I can do a pretty mean cover of Blackened.
Fair.
Well,
That's actually my favorite song on the album.
I don't know if it's my favorite. I would say it might be. I don't know. I just love that album top to bottom. When I say I do a mean cover of Blackened, what I mean is I can do the bass. I can't do
Yeah,
the guitar. I'm not a good guitarist.
fair.
I'm an average. No, I'm less than average at guitar. I'm moderately okay at guitar. I'm
You're a good
phenomenal.
guitarist.
No. I appreciate you saying that, but on guitar I am because I've got tiny hands. It
Mm.
doesn't. It's
You
like
do have
just
tiny hands. You're known
like
for your tiny hands.
yeah, old tiny hands Hughes. But like I cannot play like bar chord. My
Mm.
hands are too small.
Oh man.
Like I can just about press it if I'm trying hard enough, but yeah, I'm not like a great guitarist at all. But bass, I kick ass at.
Yeah, you are. You're. I'll give you that. You're a sick bassist.
Yeah,
But
man.
but yeah, the way Metallica work in general is for anybody who's not really. I don't know why. Well, no, I suppose not. There are a lot of people that still aren't into Metallica, or like they're obviously a huge band. Everyone's heard of them to the extent that you'll see people walk down the street with Metallica t-shirts, even though they haven't even heard a Metallica song. The same way people do with Rolling Stones.
And
So there are,
Ramones.
and the Ramones, yeah, they are they do they have reached that level of notoriety,
Yeah, I think
but
they've had a cultural impact, but not necessarily a musical impact in the modern day.
exactly, yeah. But the way their sort of career goes, in the way I view it, is that the first four albums are full on thrash, and they're just developing that thrash metal sound with each album and outdoing the last and really pushing the limits. And then obviously by the time it gets to 1988 with And Justice for All, the end of that thrash era, that's when they shoot into mass stardom with songs like One, which
Oh yeah,
famously Jack Black, I think, from Tenacious D, called that the best song ever made. That's actually what he based tribute on when he.
wasn't that? Am I right in thinking they were up for a Grammy for that song and Jethro Tull won it instead?
Oh,
And
what?
then it was
Metallica
yeah,
for
yeah
One.
for
Yeah,
one, and
yeah,
then it was yeah, and then they finally got the Grammy when they did Black Album. I don't know if it was Enter Sandman or Nothing Else
yeah.
Matters that won it
Well,
in the
yeah.
end, but
Well, I think it's and the one is where they did their first music video as well. But that's definitely the song that like shot them into like mass stardom, and they got huge, and people were like mind blown by like, what is this song? Then they'll listen to. They were big before that. They were doing like European tours, but like this is when when music starts to become a bit more commercial. Back when MTV starts coming out and everything like that. That's what pushed, and Justice for All is what pushed them into superstardom. And
well,
then right after,
Justice,
oh yeah,
the
sorry.
whole Justice tour, they were playing arenas.
Exactly, yeah.
If anyone's ever watched or listened to Live Ship Binge and Purge live album from sort of that was I think it was released just after the Black album, but the DVDs have Seattle 1989. It's big
Yeah,
arena, so it's just fucking that's like one of my all-time favorite live albums of all time. It's
fair.
yeah, one of my all-time favorites of all time,
Of
of
all
all
time,
time,
of all time, of all
of
time.
all time.
But
um,
yeah, and then from And Justice, you get this massive shift, which there are various different reasons for, as you've already sort of alluded to. Um, uh, but they do this massive shift into just more straightforward metal, I would say. I would say the Black Album, which came after, is the quintessential metal album. Everyone will know some songs from there, especially Enter Sandman, which is probably their biggest song. Not
but it's
probably, it's their biggest song.
it's going to be sort of Enter Sandman or Nothing Else Matters, isn't it? I think will be the two
Exactly.
biggest,
Yeah.
or even like things like The Unforgiven, I suppose.
Yeah, completely. But it's where they shift into that they're no longer thrash. They're no longer like ultra like super heavy metal. They're just straightforward metal. And that's
How
basically how their career goes for a little while until they start picking up again into like 2008,
now
in my opinion.
the key thing to note as well during that whole period, um, on and Justice, I'm gonna get the name wrong now. I think. Let me just look it up a sec. I can't remember if it's Felix Rasmussen who did the. Not Felix. Fleming Rasmussen
Mm,
was the producer, and they changed producer then to the Black Album to Bob Rock,
mm,
and then Bob Rock was with them up until he did Saint Anger with them. He played bass on a fair amount
yeah.
of stuff because Jason used to he fucking left the band.
He left the band.
Band. And
But
fucking quit.
is Black Album where James's voice started to go a bit weird as well? Because that's definitely where he sounds different as a
It
singer.
was it was where I'm pretty sure they were doing a recording of So What, and
Mm,
Bob Rock kept getting him to do the vocals again and again and again. He blew out his
right.
voice, which is then when he started doing those weird like when he tries to sing and he just goes oh, and
Yeah.
you're like James, what happened?
But that's
But
also
his
where he shifts more into the yeah down here.
but you listen to Kill 'Em All, Ride the Lightning. His
Yeah.
voice was very high back then.
Oh, yo, his voice is always like back in the first four albums. I think his voice is great, and it is a high. It is a high, really perfect metal voice. Like it suits those songs brilliantly, and they're really hard to sing. I think people don't give him credit. Back in the day, he was a brilliant metal singer,
Well,
really brilliant metal
well,
singer.
it's having to try and mesh like sort of properly singing and enunciating whilst using vocal fry.
Exactly,
It's a
yeah.
really fucking hard technique to do without
Very
fucking
hard.
yourself up.
Yeah, and he did nail it, obviously, until singing So What, and then he fucked himself up. But yeah, and the reason why I bring up this shift is because from Black Album you go into straight metal, and then you got Load and Reload, which is the last two albums before doing S&M, which for people who don't know is Symphony and Metal. So they did a live gig back in 1999. Am I right?
No, well, yeah, I think the gig was 99. I know
Right.
the DVD was released 99.
Okay. Yeah.
Um,
So yeah, and it stands for Symphony and Metal. Obviously, play on words because haha, they're a dark metal band.
sadomasochism.
Yeah.
Yep.
And basically, yeah, they performed in this lovely hall. They were looking a bit more formal. They're not acting that way, but they are looking a bit more formal, and they've got a whole band um
Whole
behind them,
orchestra.
a full orchestra. That's it. That's the word I
That's
was
what you
trying to
want.
say. Yeah, and the reason why the shift in tone is a big deal is because when you get albums like Black Album, Load and Reload, it changed them into a slightly more mellow band that then suited this live performance perfectly. Where a lot more of the songs would fit with a symphony orchestra behind it. If you look at their first four albums, which in S&M in the live gig they do songs from the first four albums, but
They don't.
they do.
Not all four. That's
No,
me
all
being
right, yeah,
picky.
yeah,
I will do a
fair.
count. I'll do a count off on that later
Yeah,
because
yeah, yeah.
I've got some queries about the
But
set
fair,
list.
but they do songs like One and like For Whom the Bell Tolls, and but it's obvious that they're the less flashy songs on those albums.
Well,
They're
I think they're
much
also the
more
songs. They're also the songs that people are more likely to know from those albums as well.
exactly, yeah. So the thing is about S&M is it's it's their greatest hits of their more commercial stuff. They never
Yeah.
really did much commercial stuff. Maybe on Black Album if you think of like Enter Sandman, but I don't think that's their fault. I think the public made Enter Sandman commercial.
I think it
Um,
was sort of it was a mix as well because I'm pretty well. I say I'm pretty sure I wasn't there. All I can tell you is what I've seen in from there's a documentary a year and a half in the life of Metallica,
mm,
which documents that whole recording process for the Black Album. So it's a really good watch, that one. That one is
okay,
actually insightful.
okay,
Uh,
okay.
yeah, I don't know where I find documentaries. Like I had Funky Monks with Gary, which is the Blood Sugar Sex Magic recording one.
Yeah,
But I think it's the thing of they were wanting to, they were, they didn't have Cliff Burton there. Cliff Burton was responsible for a lot of the music sound of the first three albums in particular, because obviously he died after Master of Puppets, but
yeah,
his influence was still there on And Justice,
yeah.
whereas his influence isn't really there on the Black Album. So it's their sound changing just because of the times, but also Bob Rock coming in, I think pushed
Completely.
them heavily for that more commercial sound.
Completely. And also they had done four albums, man, of a certain sound. They must have just wanted a bit of a switch. And they had owned that lane as well. There was never gonna be a better thrash metal band than Metallica in those first four albums, I don't think. And it's sort of like, right, I've put my stamp on that. Let's see if we can go into more straightforward metal and own that scene as well. And debatably they did.
Yeah, to a large extent. I think they got after the Black Album, they kind of got. I don't know. They sort of got pushed under a little bit because you then had the whole grunge movement kicking up
Yeah.
or like Nevermind came out at the same time as Black Album, pretty
Which
much.
kind of did influence them, you can tell with Load and Reload as well.
Well, it's also the rising of the new metal era as well, in
Yeah.
that sort of alternative look. So I think as soon as, and this is going to be very cliche to say, as soon as they've cut their hair and started wearing the eyeliner,
Yeah. As
because
soon as Kirk Hammett bought a wah pedal.
oh no, he had Wah before. It's just that he suddenly remembered that he can use it on every fucking song.
Man, every solo after the Black Album sounds the same. It bothers
Wow.
me.
Well, I
Yeah.
think the Sandman solo is Wah.
Yeah,
Wow,
of
wow,
course. Of course. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
wow,
But
wow,
like,
wow,
in the
wow.
Black Album it's only a little bit there. But when you
Yeah,
get to Load and Reload and basically everything since, and especially when they perform live, even their older stuff, the wah pedal dominates it, and it's such a horrible, like, grim sound. But yeah, sorry if you heard a little noise in the background there. Um, all right, we can unpause now.
well, sorry for that little pause in the action if you hear a bit of a skip in the beat. But Connor was discussing the overuse of wah wah pedals.
Yeah, it just pisses me off. It's
End of
essentially it.
discussion.
I just don't think it's a pleasing sound to hear, and I don't like. I don't know. Some bands fucking love it. I do you know what it is? I just don't think. I think Kirk. This is completely like my own opinion. I could be completely wrong, but I think Kirk thinks he mastered the wah pedal, so then thought I'm gonna carry on using it and people are gonna love it. When to be honest, he never did. And like there are other guitarists that utilize that piece of equipment so fucking well, and it's never bothered me. I mean, but with him, it really bothers me.
I've got a different theory on that.
Mm.
I reckon it's mostly because playing a lot of the songs from, so if he's looking from sort of like Black Album onwards, when he starts using the wah more, if he's playing a lot of the older songs, those solos are hard to fucking do. So using the wah masks any mistakes. I think that's where he started getting sloppy when he was playing as well.
Yeah. So one of the reasons why S&M in 1999 is one of the best. It's probably the last. I don't know. I haven't been around, but it's one of the last times I've heard them live that they've been fucking amazing. And one of the many reasons of that is because you can't hear any wah pedal because there's a symphony behind.
Well, it's also they had to be, because they were having to work with Michael Kamen and the San Francisco Symphony. They had to be so tight on what they were playing.
Yeah,
they had to be
perfect.
Exactly. So they had to be super practiced, super rehearsed.
Yeah, and the thing is, to go on to drums, then like Lars Ulrich is a bit of a legend in the industry for many drummers and for most people, and rightly so, to be honest, because the drumming in the first four albums is unbelievable, and it's some of the best drumming you'll ever hear. And to be honest, since then as well, if you listen to the albums, he's always had fucking amazing drums, and they're always hard to play. Even Saint Anger has got, even though the snare sounds shit, Saint Anger has got some amazing drum beats that are really, really hard to play. The issue is when we're talking about Metallica live, is Lars did get sloppy, and he's not always in time.
I heard an interesting theory on that. I can't remember. I'm gonna feel ashamed now. If I can find out the YouTuber's name, I will put it in at some point. But there's this guy who's a drummer in America who does like drum lessons, things like that. And he reckons that Lars had lost the fear, and the fear being like, if you don't turn up, play to the beat, keep time, keep rhythm properly, and do everything the way you should, you'll get fired. Because the guy's a session musician, a tour musician.
Yeah.
So he does drums in sort of random bands and that.
Oh, completely. It's your obligation. Yeah. Yeah, completely. But the drums are really like, if you're not a musician, you may not know this, but the drums are so integral to a song. I mean, like everything is kind of built around the drums, and if the drum beat slips, then the whole performance goes to shit.
Well, I think this is where we always benefit. We were, because obviously we're the rhythm section, aren't we? I'm bass, you're drums.
Yeah.
And we were always extremely fucking tight on what we played.
Oh, thank you. But yeah,
well, yeah, I would describe it as like you may not be like the best technical drummer I've ever played with.
Yeah.
Because I've been thankful to play with some fucking extraordinary drummers, but you're always the one that I was most in sync with. It was always like we're using our mind powers. Like you could hit that little snare rap, isn't it? At the start of Reptilia.
Yeah.
I'd be on that fucking point like do.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is like with drumming, the first and foremost, most important thing, almost the only important thing, if you're not that good at drumming or anything like that, you can always play live as long as you stay in time, man. That's the most important job of a drummer, is to stay in time. It doesn't matter how complex your beats are or how amazing you are at just going around that whole fucking kit and doing some crazy shit. If you're not in time, it will sound crap and it's not worth it, and you won't play in a band. But there are plenty of drummers out there. Maybe, this is controversial to say, but you'll love it. But, the Beatles, he was not a great, he is an amazing drummer just for the sake of timing. There were simple beats, and those beats
we're talking about
songs
Pete Best now and not Ringo, aren't we?
We're talking about both. But the thing is both Ringo was a really interesting drummer. I could have a whole conversation about him alone. But the point is he was simple, but it was effective and perfectly in time. And he was in one of the biggest bands of all time ever. Whereas if you look at, I don't think Lars would get hired now.
Not if he was coming in with that same way that he's playing live, like from sort of, well, from, I say Cunning Stunts he was still okay, S&M he was still okay. I think anything post like S&M, not S&M, anything post Saint Anger, he
Yeah.
seemed to have just dropped off. But bear in mind, they can't exactly fire Lars, can they, either?
No, I know.
That's the thing.
Here's the thing: it's like when Metallica. This is a bit cruel to say, but Metallica is Lars, Kirk, and James. For obvious reasons, Cliff died, and
And Jason fucking left the band.
and Jason left the band, so they've had loads of different bassists, but it's not like Fleetwood Mac, and it's not like Iron Maiden, where they've had a load of different members switch and change over the years. It's always been at least these three guys, and they're really, really close friends. And of course, they're always, when one of them leaves, at this point, I imagine the band's done.
Yeah. I think they didn't show that same kind of loving to Dave Mustaine, though.
No, completely.
But bear in mind, he also accidentally electrocuted Ron McGovney, who was the original bassist.
There you go. Yeah. But
don't do that to your bandmates, people.
yeah. But yeah, sorry,
Kyle. I was just going to make a pithy comment, that was all.
But yeah, S&M though, this album's amazing. They're this live gig was brilliant. Admittedly, now listening back on it, and I'll come back to this a little bit when we talk about how excited we are for S&M too. But admittedly, now when I look back at S&M, bear in mind it's 20 years old. It's a bit corny. I mean, and that's not Metallica's fault, because they were probably one of the first to do this. But now so many different artists have incorporated symphony, where symphony in this, that's a bit different, a bit weird. It's now listening to metal and symphony together.
You can see
feels
that
a bit forced. It feels a bit forced.
Yeah, you can see that on sort of bands who are heavily influenced by Metallica. You think about, say, like Avenged Sevenfold, who are possibly the biggest, I'd say the biggest modern metal band at the moment.
Maybe, yeah.
I'd say they're up there, especially by the time you get to
bands like Disturbed and stuff, but
yeah, I would still think of them as more classic metal at this point, because they've been around for a long, long time. Whereas, I think this generation's biggest metal band, then, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get you.
But Avenged, obviously, they started using orchestras in the background and stuff a lot more, because they, I think it probably started on City of Evil, when you have Strength of the World and songs like that. But then you get to the next album with Afterlife, A Little Piece of Heaven.
And actually, I'll get back. Avenged are a really good poll. I'll get back to them when we talk about S&M too, especially when we talk about the track list. But yeah, but S&M 1 still sounds amazing, really amazing. But it is a bit corny now, going back and listening to it.
Yeah, I think the reason we loved it so much, especially when we were younger, was because it did seem so different at the time.
Especially for Metallica.
Especially for Metallica. Bear in mind, I still actually remember it coming out. Back at the ripe old age of 6. Back when you were still 5.
Yeah, mate.
It came out 10 days after my 6th birthday.
No way. Happy birthday.
Well, not for today, mate.
Well, I mean, it was. I know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I know what you're trying to say. You just need to work on the delivery. But yeah, going into it, sort of a bit more. They had just come off the Reload side of things.
Yeah.
Which I think the album performed well.
It's an alright album
commercially. But I think critically it still seemed like a bit of a misstep. It was better than Load. Because you think about Reload, it's got.
Although interestingly enough, they do more songs from Load in S&M than they do Reload, or is it the same? 1, 2.
No, you're correct. It's 4 from Load, 3 from Reload.
Yeah.
So I think I'll do the full split now if you want, actually.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
So the only reason I pulled you up earlier is they don't have anything from Kill 'Em All.
No, they don't. No.
They have 2 songs from Ride the Lightning. three songs from Master, one from Unjustice, 5 from the Black Album, 4 from Load, 3 from Reload, 2 completely brand new songs, and obviously Ecstasy of Gold as well, which doesn't go on any of those.
Yeah, and because this was very much a new thing to put symphony and metal together, they played it safe and they kind of went with their greatest commercial hits, which is probably why there's no Kill 'Em All on there.
But there is still a few odd pulls though, actually.
Yeah, like Of Wolf and Man and Devil's Dance, it's like
I was thinking like the thing that should not be as well.
Yeah,
Like
completely.
that wouldn't be what I'd have pulled from Master.
Yeah, I agree.
Battery as well. Like
Battery is my favorite on this.
It's an amazing. I love that whole orchestra intro to it as well, where it's got that Western theme and then it all kicks in properly.
Well, yeah, and so like it's brilliant, and it proves that the heavier songs work well with symphony. And so I'm getting ahead of myself here, but I really want to get it out. Like, so S&M 2 it's got its track list all out there. I mean, it's already been performed. People know what's going to be on that album.
Well, it was performed last year.
Yeah, exactly. And people know what's going to be on that album and DVD. And it annoys the hell out of me that it's essentially the same set list as S&M 1.
Well, should we do a comparison? Should we do the set list from the original and go through the set list from the second one?
Yeah, why not?
I've got them both in front of me.
Or why don't we just go through the set list of the second one and say whether it's been on the first one?
Okay, give me 2 seconds.
Kill 2 birds with 1 stone that way.
Okay, so for S&M 2, which comes out on August 28th, and I know we're slightly tearing into it a little bit, despite it not being released yet, but I would suggest buying it. I'm probably going to buy it because I'm intrigued.
Yeah, I'm intrigued. I'm definitely intrigued. And the trailer looked all right, and there is definitely 1 or 2 things that look really sick.
I'll get into that in a minute when I get to it on the set list, because I know exactly where you're going to go.
Yeah.
So we opened up with the Ecstasy of Gold, which, to be fair, they've opened every live gig with.
Oh yeah, completely.
Yeah, so we can allow that one.
And it does work brilliantly with a symphony as well.
Do you remember what Stone Sour opened with when we saw them?
No.
Like sort of their version of the Ecstasy of Gold then for that gig. We're both massive Star Wars fans.
Oh yeah.
They opened up with Duel of the Fates from Phantom Menace.
Yeah, it was brilliant.
I think that was the highlight of the gig for us. We turned around and went.
But with S&M, the first one, when they did it, it kind of worked the best it ever has. Ecstasy as Gold as an opener, they've always used, which has always been cool, but it worked so fucking well for S&M. Like, it's unbelievable.
We've got different opinions on the next song, which is the same song on both the new one and the old one, the Call of Cthulhu. Or Cthulhu.
Yeah, which isn't it instrumental anyway.
So yeah, you were sort of bored by that because you thought they should have gone straight into the action.
Yeah, I mean, well, you could start because it's split up into 2 parts, disc 1 and disc 2. You could have started disc 2 with an instrumental, and I think it would have flowed better.
Potentially, yeah. I've got a slightly different opinion just because of that's one of my 2 favourites from the whole thing.
Yeah, fair.
But I think that's purely the basis to me for this one. The bass line in Call of Cthulhu is incredible.
Oh yeah, the song in general is incredible. Like no one's done that. It's great.
It's an
great
amazing
instrumental.
I think it's underrated though, because when you look at the instrumentals for Metallica, everyone will go back to Orion.
Yeah.
I think Call of Cthulhu
should be on S&M 2.
Well, that's the thing. They play it live nowadays as well.
I don't know why. Right, I've got real issues with. We'll carry on. We'll carry on. I've got real issues with.
Get your issue off your chest.
Right. So the thing is again getting ahead of myself again.
It's okay.
As we've already said, the set list is essentially like very, very similar. Not much changes at all. And Metallica have one of the biggest discographies of any band out there. They did not have to go for the same set list. And I understood in the first time round, they went for, some more commercial songs because it was a new thing and they were trying something out. They were a bit more nervous for it. I completely understand. They wanted to give a good time. But as you said, with bands like Avenged Sevenfold now, we've learned, and even back with S&M 1 with songs like Battery, we've learned that you can do your heavier stuff, your real heavy, fast-paced stuff with a symphony, and it sounds amazing. Avenged Sevenfold do it, and it works so well. So why not give that a go with some of your other songs? Why not put Seek and Destroy on there? Why
That's the
not?
song I was going to go for.
Yeah, why not put Creeping Death? It annoys me that Creeping Death.
Creeping Death would have been amazing.
Creeping Death is one of my favorite Metallica songs, and I think it's an underground sort of hit with the fans. I think
Yeah.
a lot of fans will turn around and go, "Oh, Creeping Death is my favorite Metallica song."
Well, that's the thing, that whole middle section where he does the, die, die, my friend. Like,
Yeah,
that could have been fucking amazing, where you got the bass going and the orchestra
they've
and the
got
drums.
exactly, man. They've got so many amazing songs
Fight
that
fire with
could
fire.
exactly. Yeah, they got so many amazing songs that they could put into a symphony sort of setting, like Whiplash and stuff as well, especially from Kill 'Em All, to be honest. And like,
Whiplash would have been interesting.
yeah, I just would love to see what, because this symphony they work with, I've forgotten their name. They're amazing.
The San Francisco Symphony.
Yeah, San Francisco Symphony are amazing. They would definitely come up with some amazing stuff to go with these songs.
Well, that's the thing, the guy who came up with it the first time around is no longer with us,
Yeah,
which is Michael Kamen, who, yeah, so he wasn't around during this whole thing, but, or during the second one anyway, he was around during the first one. He arranged everything, and he was a master of his art,
yeah,
the way he got the most out of everything.
yeah,
But that's the thing as well, like the whole initial idea of the symphony was a Cliff Burton idea as well.
yeah, exactly, yeah.
He loved all that kind of stuff. So, right, I'm going to do the set list for you.
Yeah.
So we've already got one song. I'm going to do a tally as I go.
Okay.
So we've got one song that's exactly the same, or one song that's already been done. Two songs now, For Whom the Bell Tolls, which, to be fair, is one of their classic live ones.
Yeah.
They kind of always got to play that.
Yeah, I have nothing against that. You always play that.
It's just there, isn't it? I think.
Yeah.
That's the thing for it.
And it does work. But the thing is, though, I don't know if you do need it, because the one in S&M, the first one, is so fucking perfect. It's done so well with that symphony. I just wish they try, like, they seem nervous. They seem nervous for S&M too, and they don't have to be. They're one of the biggest bands on earth. Their fans are gonna go there anyway. They're gonna love it anyway. Why not, just give them
more.
really what they want, and like have a whole nother catalogue of songs, so then these two could be paired together and listened to at the same time. Now
I've got
now
another
you're
song.
just gonna oh, sorry, yeah.
Another song that would have been amazing on S&M too.
Yeah.
Sanitarium, Welcome Home.
Fuck yeah. Yes, man. Sanitarium, yeah, 100%. And we already said Orion, which is their other instrumental. Why not do that? And also, man, I'm angry.
Yeah, this album we love. We're going to talk about the one that's coming out instead, which pisses us off.
Because the thing is, it's called S&M 2. It's a sequel. And ideally, in a perfect world, you would be able to listen to both of these back to back and really enjoy them. But
episode
now
7 was basically a recreation of episode 4.
You're wrong, man. I love episode 7. Shut up.
Sequels don't necessarily have to be.
No, but they could be homages.
I know what you mean.
Okay, but the thing is now S&M 2 is gonna come out, and it's gonna essentially be the same. I don't know if anyone's gonna listen to one and then straight into the other, because so much of it's gonna sound so similar.
Well, it's going to certainly be deja vu when you listen to the first one and then the first two fucking songs are exactly the same on the second one.
Exactly, especially when you have a fuckload of other instrumentals that you could do instead of Call of Cthulhu.
Yeah, and again, that's not us ragging on Call of Cthulhu. It's a fantastic song. It's just more a case of...
It's been done.
Yeah, exactly.
Completely.
It's going to piss me off, though. If I listen to... I'm going to listen to, obviously, both versions back to back for that. Because I think Rob does a bit more on the bass than Jason did during the initial version. But if the score is exactly the same for the orchestra, that will annoy me.
Yeah, and the thing is, as well, they're probably nervous, so they're going with the same set list, but they're shooting themselves in the foot because, and I hate to say it, but they're nowhere near as good as they were back then. And now people are going to listen to this new one, they're going to have a direct comparison to the old one, and then you're going to go, oh yeah, no, they really don't sound as good anymore.
It's sort of like they're doing a tribute act to it.
Completely, yeah. It's like a different band doing a whole cover of a whole album.
So it's Metallica covers Metallica.
Completely, man.
Well, to be fair, John Fogerty from Creedence Clearwater Revival, he once got sued for sounding too much like himself because he changed record companies.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And he recorded some solo stuff, and they were like, "This sounds too much like Creedence." It's like, well, yeah, it's John Fogerty. What do you fucking expect?
Yeah. I just feel bad for the fans for this, man, because their tickets were expensive. And I
think
feel
they
like
still would have had a good time, though, wouldn't they?
Oh, 100%. But you know what? If I would have a good time if I was there. I wish I was there. But at the same time, if I'd gone there and heard a lot of this shit, which is the exact same, I'd be a bit bummed out.
Well, we're up to 2 songs that have already been
Yeah,
done.
and I've already lost my mind.
The next song you'll appreciate. It's not one that's already been done.
Yeah.
Because it didn't come out until 2008. The Day That Never Comes, which I reckon
Which
will
I'm
actually be
excited
quite good.
for. Yeah. Wait, and that's another point as well, actually. So since doing the first S&M, they've released 3 whole albums.
Yeah.
They've got 3 whole other albums that are big albums as well. They're not small albums that they can work with and shove a load more material in.
Well, think of it like this, like All Nightmare Long, Broken, Beat and Scarred.
Well, yeah, so Death Magnetic in general is their kind of return to a sort of thrashy sound. I actually like Death Magnetic quite a bit.
Same.
And yeah, definitely you could go with those harder songs from that album and shove them in here and really, if this is supposed to be a sequel, I would have kind of enjoyed it if they had went, for S&M 2, let's forget we've ever done any other album before S&M 1. So it's kind of like the part 2 of our career.
Yeah.
Like I think that would have been a riskier thing to do, definitely. Some fans may be a bit annoyed because they always like, oh, I want to hear Enter Sandman. But at the same time, it makes for a better piece of work.
Now, so far on this episode, you've been more controversial than me, which
Yeah, I have.
I'm about to take the heat back now. Don't worry.
Okay.
Enter Sandman. I could go without hearing that song ever again.
Oh, completely. I think a load of fans agree. Like,
I've
don't
heard
get
it
me
too
wrong.
many times.
Yeah, if I saw it live, I'd be fucking happy because I was like, yeah, I saw Enter Sandman live. Fuck yeah. But, it's one of those songs, I think we've talked about it before, but it does go into those pantheon of songs that are like your Mr. Brightsides and your all of those sort of songs that you've just heard so much. You've just heard exactly. You've just heard so much of them in your life that you're sort of like meh. And of course, there's songs that you can never get tired of hearing. Like if we're going back to Iron Maiden again, Trooper probably played as much as Run to the Hills, and for some reason it hasn't got annoying. There are just some songs that get annoying over time.
I think a lot of that is down to it's like the simple little things on the song, like that intro to Enter Sandman. I could do without hearing that entire fucking song actually.
Yeah.
Ever again.
Well, do you know what I think it actually is? It's
Run to the Hills I can still listen to.
When something is super fucking catchy and super repetitive, it's amazing for the time, but after a while, because it's so catchy and repetitive, it becomes annoying. And actually, Enter Sandman's riff is so recognizable that it's almost comedy now. And Run to the Hills, the way he just sings Run to the Hills at really high pitch, is so, at the time, so chanty and so catchy that over time you just get tired of hearing it.
But I will still contend though I can still listen to Run to the Hills, but it won't be what I choose to listen to.
Completely.
But
I'm the same with Enter Sandman personally. Like, but then, I don't know. Maybe we were just too oversaturized by Metallica when we were younger.
Well, yeah, considering we both watched Krang and Scuzz and that as well. And Enter Sandman was on constant rotation.
Oh man, there was a point in my life where I literally, probably a good 6 months to a year, where I literally listened to nothing but Metallica, sprinkled in with some Stone Roses.
I will literally refuse to play Enter Sandman if I'm ever playing the Black Album on bass.
Yeah, really.
I've covered it in the past. I've listened to it too many times.
And we're not denying, by the way, that it's a good song. It's a fucking great song.
I was about to say it's not even an interesting song.
All right, fair. Well, there's a reason it got as big as it did.
Because it's simple.
But that's the thing. It's so simple and so recognizable, and it shot them like into this other realm of fame. That I respect it. It's a great song, but I've just heard it more than most things ever.
That's the thing. I don't think the fans would complain if they don't play that live.
That's
I think
I think that's the point we're making, isn't it? It's like it's exciting when they do play it live, but you know what? We've heard it so often that I won't even remember. I won't even notice that you haven't played it live if you don't play it. It's like if you see a Red Hot Chili Peppers gig and they don't play By the Way, you won't notice while you're watching the gig, and then after the gig you go, "Wow, what fucking amazing gig! Oh man, they didn't play By the Way. Ah, how weird!" But still, such an amazing gig.
did they play By the Way when we saw them?
When we saw
So
them the first time at Birmingham.
yeah, because I haven't seen them a second time, mate. I didn't
Oh
get a
yeah,
chance to
yeah,
go to the pyramids.
yeah, mate, that was great.
Yeah, I know, I know.
Um,
Because I can't remember
no,
them.
I think they did. Admittedly, I think both times I've seen them, they've played By the Way. But there's definitely some songs that they didn't
Don't
play that I
forget me,
wish they had. Don't Forget Me, they played when I saw them at the Pyramids, which I was so
but they
fucking
didn't in
happy.
Birmingham
Yeah, they didn't in Birmingham.
because they started. They sounded like they were going to go into it, and they started playing Californication, and the only person booing in the building was you.
Yeah, but the thing is like that's the opposite. There are certain songs that bands have that you really want them to play live and they don't play enough, and you're like, damn it. But then there are other bands' songs like Californication with the Chili's or like By the Way that are so mainstream now, or you've just heard them so much that you can deal without them playing them live.
Yeah, 100%.
And it won't bother you. And like if I see the Chili's again, I will not be bothered if they don't play Californication. I will not be bothered if they don't play Tell Me Baby. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
but I respect that they're amazing songs. I still personally listen to them a lot, but that's more to do with the fact that I prefer Red Hot Chili Peppers to Metallica now.
I
Um,
think we've also probably listened to Metallica for longer than we were listening to the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Maybe, I don't know.
Because I
They
know
could be
I've
about the same.
worst thing I know I've been listening to Metallica since I was about 5 or 6.
Yeah, fair.
So
Yeah, definitely you longer than me then. I think I probably got into Chili's before I got into Metallica, so I've kind of been listening to them for the same time. I think in terms of the Chili's and Metallica discussion, I just think Chili's are a better band, but it's music I prefer more. Um,
that gets into a really hard thing for me. 'Cause one of the things I want to mention mostly about like the original S&M is Jason Newsted. I can't
yeah,
remember if I've made my feelings clear on this on the podcast before, so I'm going to make it again. The reason I picked up playing bass was because I saw Jason Newsted, and he had that mean look, and this is back when he had the long curled hair as well, and he looked like a bad motherfucker, and I went, I want to be him.
yeah. And then you started playing bass, and you're like, wow, he's fucking amazing.
Exactly, and if you listen to, like, he didn't really get much of a chance to show it off too much in Metallica, but if you listen to stuff like Flotsam and Jetsam,
Mm,
Deceive the Deceiver, I think it was called, amazing. But then also, like, yeah, Flea is also one of my idols.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
So I think in terms of playing style, I prefer playing Flea stuff, but I prefer looking at Jason Newsted.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You get what I mean? Like I love Newsted's there. I prefer you. Well, obviously Flea doesn't really do much in the way of vocals.
Yeah,
But Newsted's vocals, I loved
yeah.
them.
But
Uh,
I think it goes into this sort of like discussion of like because the Chili's they haven't changed a lot, but they have changed enough. But they've kept their identity. But it doesn't seem like they're you know old men still trying to be the exact same they always were. They've just changed.
I
Whereas
think if Kiedis shaved his mustache, I would agree. But with that mustache on, does seem like an old man trying to recapture.
completely, I get that, I get that. But when they perform and stuff, it's not like it's just different. Whereas
I know what it is.
this is a really personal thing. But like it could be my own preference and it could be a bit mean. But when I watched the trailer for S&M 2, it looks like a bunch of old men trying to not be old anymore. And I know that sounds cruel, but that could be why they're doing the same set list in that as well. It's like they're trying to they still think they still got their head in the past sort of thing.
I know why listening to Chili's live current day compared to listening to Metallica current day does seem like, even though they're roughly the same age, came up at around the same time.
Mm.
Um, the reason why you can still listen to the Chili's live nowadays and it still seems fresh, they'll jam. They'll just have a jam.
Yeah,
And it's different.
completely.
It's
It's so
different
different.
every night.
And there is something to be said as well that even though these bands have been going on for roughly about the same time, The Chili's didn't get big until quite into their career,
Well,
like
that's the thing. They got
on a worldwide level.
yeah, on a worldwide level, they got big pretty much the same time as Metallica. Like their
Oh,
careers
would you
are
say? Oh, right. Oh, their careers are on track with each other then, would you say?
yeah. I'll have to get the dates up because
But
I'm
so,
pretty sure.
in terms of talent, though, I know this is completely subjective, but like, you get to the fifth album of the Chili's and you get to the fifth album of Metallica. I would say for Metallica, the talent drops down. When you get to Chili's, the talent swoops up, and basically they flout the rule because from the fifth album on is some of their most recognizable, most loved stuff worldwide.
Well, it's yeah. So the Black Album came out. It came out on August the 12th, 1991. Blood Sugar Sex Magic came out on September the 24th, 1991.
Yeah. And the
That's
thing
what I mean
is,
about them being sort of intertwined.
exactly. And the thing is, if you meet a Metallica fan, every Metallica fan, for the most part, loves the first four albums, and that's
Yeah.
where their heart is. If you meet a Chili's fan, I would actually make a bold statement and say most Chili's fans prefer all the stuff from Blood Sex after. I
Yeah.
think I know personally a load of Chili fans that have never listened to stuff before Blood Sex Sugar Magic because you don't need to because
Or Blood Sugar Sex Magic.
that's what I meant. Sorry.
You did that. You did that on the Gary one as well.
No, it's a thing that I've always done with that album.
It's
Um,
yeah.
yeah,
It's a long
but
title.
the thing is they got better and better. Debatably, of course, they did do amazing stuff before that, but they definitely just improved their sound.
I think musically you could make the argument they did amazing stuff before that. But that's purely from like a technical standpoint in a way, especially for the bass. Like Flea's slap bass on the first three albums is excellent. But
Completely. And I would also say that Anthony became a better songwriter and he calmed the fuck down.
yes. Yeah, so this is what I mean. This is what I was going to say. So by the time they hit Mother's Milk and Blood Sugar Sex Magic, that was when they, some of them were getting clean, some of them were not, obviously.
Yeah.
That's when they started writing songs properly. They started writing songs for people rather than writing songs that pop themselves.
Which I would say Metallica did the same thing as well. And it's a controversial thing to say, but I think James Hetfield's writing got better from the Black Album onwards.
Yeah.
Lyricism wise, like some of their more recognizable tunes come after that are unbelievable, like Sad But True and well, not The Memory Remains is an amazing song, very well written.
I think James is probably the best musician in Metallica.
Would you say so?
Yeah, I think obviously that's a bit more. It's a bit hard to judge nowadays because Rob is a phenomenal musician. Rob Trujillo, current bassist.
And obviously James, and it's not his fault, but James's voice is a bit worse for wear.
But James will write the majority of the riffs. This is going to sound like I'm being abusive towards Kirk now, and I don't mean it this way. All Kirk really does, majority it seems nowadays, is the soloing side of things. Or he'll come up with little bits for the riff in that as well.
Yeah.
But James seems to be the one who does the majority of the lifting on that side.
Yeah.
And that could be me reading it wrong.
That's always been the case though as well. If you look at the song credits for all of their songs throughout the whole of their history, it's James has been the big heavy hand.
Well, I'm pretty sure James is on every credit. I know some are split between James and Lars.
Yeah.
Some will be split between James and Cliff for like the first three albums. Like I think they missed that influence of Cliff, and that's nobody's fault really.
And I don't mean to say, when I say that, they're a load of old men trying to be younger, I respect these people a lot. Like, I don't mean it to sound a dickish. Like, this is the podcast where I sound like a dick.
I didn't realise that I didn't think the podcast was going to go this way, to be honest. Like, I didn't realise it was going to be, we tear strips out of our idols.
No, and that's the thing, though. That's what I'm getting at. Is the only reason I'm so passionate about it is because they are some of our idols. Yeah. And I do respect them as musicians, and I think they're great. And I love James to pieces, man. I think he was one of the best frontmen of any heavy metal band ever. I think he's always been absolutely excellent. I still think he writes good songs. I think there's a lot of songs in Death Magnetic that are terrific, really terrific.
He's never been a great lyricist, though.
No, but you know what? He's
they
been
don't need to be.
Yeah, he's been a unique lyricist. I think they work for that fan base perfectly.
Yeah.
And I don't think they're bad lyrics. They're just not mind-blowing, amazing lyrics either.
Yeah, they're just a bit. I don't know. I want to say vanilla, but
I think they're just so ingrained in that heavy metal culture that I think like James has got such a heavy metal brain that his lyrics just sound very heavy metal.
But
They're
then saying
like
that, I think
very
his
dark imagery for the sake of being metal.
I think his lyrics have gotten worse.
Would you say so?
Yeah, I was just sort of thinking, like, when you go back to the first three albums, like, the lyrics aren't always great, but you think about, like, A Creeping Death or A Master of Puppets, Leper Messiah, Sanitarium, they're all amazing, but when you get to, say, Saint Anger and Death Magnetic, musically, Death Magnetic's excellent. The
Yeah.
lyrics aren't exactly the greatest.
No, but I think the lyrics become more personal, which is maybe why I dig them a bit more.
Possibly, yeah.
Because back in the day, they used to just make these lyrics based off of concepts. Like,
Well, they were doing the Maiden kind of thing where it's based on like literary interests. So obviously
exactly.
Cthulhu being, well, that's not got any lyrics in it. A thing that should
Yeah.
not be, shall I say, Lovecraft.
Yeah, but they'll
Through the
tell
Bell
us.
Tolls.
Yeah, they'll take a story which doesn't necessarily have anything to do with them at all, and then they'll write a song about that story. Whether it's,
Yeah,
like a soldier who's almost died in a war or something like that, or someone becoming mad in a facility. But then when you get to
well,
more modern day Metallica,
one was based on Johnny Got His Gun, so it's based on the
exactly,
film.
it's based on a film, yeah. So, but when you get to more like, even when you start to get to Black Album, it becomes a little bit more personal. And then when
Yeah,
you get to with Death Magnetic and stuff, I'd say the songs are a little bit more relatable because they're not talking about, an outside story. They're not necessarily talking about themselves, but they're talking about emotions more. I think
what
that's the
about?
thing, is they're more emotive lyrics.
I think as well though. I think one of the reasons why I love the first four albums and then not much afterwards is the lyrics on Load and Reload. Do I really need to have a song about James Hetfield liking a car?
No.
Do I need to know about a devil potentially dancing?
Yeah,
No.
that's true. That's very true. Um, that's the thing. I
Until
mean,
It Sleeps is very good though. I'll
yeah,
give that. I'll give
completely,
that credit.
completely. I think the thing is with Metallica is like you go to Metallica for the music, and especially with the first four albums, his vocals are so good that you're not even necessarily listening to specifically what he's saying. You're just listening to the musicality of his voice, and you're just moshing the fuck out.
Yeah.
And that's good. It gives you what you need. You don't need to go to Metallica for anything else than that. And admittedly, yeah, they over the years have then tried to branch out and gone, but we can also be more cerebral. We can also like calm the fuck down, and it's just sort of like, yeah, but if I want to listen to that, I'll listen to other bands, like, which is an unfair thing to say because I'm all for bands branching out and changing. We had a big discussion about that with the Arctic Monkeys, which I don't know if that podcast would have come out yet or not.
It'll be there or thereabouts. It might be just after this.
Fair.
I
But
don't know.
yeah, I'm a-okay with bands changing their sound. I love like Kasabian, they've always changed their sound, and
Yeah.
but the thing is like when you change your sound, it needs to work still. Like that's the thing.
Oh
It's like
God.
definitely give something a go, but
We're gonna
if
have
it
some
doesn't work,
angry
yeah, we
angry
are.
metalheads.
But like Metallica, definitely give Load a go, and if it works, it works. But it didn't work, so why did you stick with it and make Reload? I don't get it.
I think it's because they wrote too many songs for Load, and so they just had these songs left over that they could use for Reload,
Completely.
which is the laziest way of writing
But
an
you know
album.
what? I think they know this as well, which is why they went back to being heavy as fuck again after that.
I
Uh,
disagree. I think they recognise it, but they will refuse to admit it.
yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I'm going to go back to the set lists now that we've torn Metallica apart,
Yeah.
ripped them to
We've
their
got some
foundations.
real close friends here that are gonna hate us after this.
I don't think we're going to be able to get Mike on the podcast.
No, I was thinking more like, yeah, no, it's true. If Cameron or Kieran ever hear this, they're like, why are they tearing Metallica to shreds? We love
retro
Metallica.
bastards.
We love Metallica. We just feel like we've got a lot. Do you know what? They're one of the most frustrating bands though, because they were so amazing, and they are. They have the ability to be really fucking amazing. It's just you just look at their whole discography and you see the decline, and it's a bit like, man,
There's There's
They're
one
a
thing they
perfect example of quit while you're ahead, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'll go with that. Now,
Yeah.
there's one thing they could have done, which I reckon could have improved future albums. Which, to be fair, they did do with Load and Reload, actually. Is tune the fuck down. If James can't hear what he used to hear, don't play in the
Yeah.
same tuning. Which that's what they do live. They play Half Step Down live from sort of 95
They
onwards.
do, but even that still doesn't really work for James sometimes. He can't
No,
reach those higher notes anymore.
exactly. So it's still a bit hit and miss, but I
Yeah.
reckon you're probably best off doing that on the albums as
Yeah.
well, or even
'Cause-
just dropping down to D.
yeah, completely. I mean, because so there's some leaks of the S&M 2 that's come out. We've watched a couple. And I can't remember what one we've watched. What's the one where it's Unforgiven Free, and which is a great song. I really like Unforgiven Free as a song.
The
But you
sequel that
know,
sounds that has no relevance to to the two
completely,
before.
completely. But yeah, you could have just called it a different name. But
The sequel that nobody asked for.
yeah. But the thing is like that clip that we watched sums up my whole opinion on the band sort of thing now. Is that it's a different song. Well done for doing that on S&M. But he stood there in the widest stance
It was
possible,
like a Tory power pose, wasn't it?
completely. And it's like what they used to do back when they were doing their thrash metal stuff, but it worked then because they were doing thrash. This is a slow, personal song, probably one of the more personal Metallica songs there's been. And just him singing in symphony in the back, but for some reason he's got this huge wide stance with his hands behind his back, and then
Oh shit, yeah, because he doesn't even play guitar with it, does he?
no, he
I
doesn't. And
forgot
the thing
about
is,
that.
and they put a spotlight on him and everything. They're really, really zoning in on this song. It's supposed to be a moment in the gig where it gets all personal and stuff, and it's supposed to be I imagine they imagined like people walk away and go, man, when they did Unforgiven Free, that got me. And the problem
I
is
reckon they were
that
expecting lighters, weren't they?
yeah, exactly. But the thing is, it's presented in such a way that's uncomfortable and doesn't quite work. And then, unfortunately, man, James just doesn't reach the notes, and he screeches at one point when they why won't
His
you forgive me? And it's like he can't hit it anymore. And that's not even that old of a song. And it's just sort of that when I watched that clip, it just brought it all home for me, and I was sort of like, man, it just made me a bit sad. Like it's good, it's really really good, but I was just like, fuck, man, you just don't.
Are we viewing
It
him the
just
same
isn't
way that
working.
are we viewing him like through the old Yeller sort of thing? Or we just want to take him behind the shed and have
Totally,
him shot?
man.
2 shots to the back of the head.
Yeah, totally, man. Like
Rob, you've got
it's
to find a new band you can live, but you've got to find a new band.
completely. It's just like, and it's not his fault, obviously. And they want to, and to their credit, who the fuck am I? Like, if they want to still carry on playing their music and they want to do this thing, by all means, fucking do it. And
They've earned
like,
the right to do what the fuck they want, but
completely.
we would love to see them at least be a bit more adventurous. You've got
Yeah,
nothing to lose at this point.
exactly. So I've got nothing against them doing this. I just wish they branched out a bit more and did some other songs rather than the first one. And and
Do we-
and and when I say I'm sad, I'm not sad because of how like I'm not sad because I'm going, oh, they're shit now. I'm sad because I'm remembering how amazing they were, and it's sad that that's no longer the case.
That's the
That's
problem. They peaked too early,
hmm
at least in terms of like a live performance
completely, man.
and for their albums. But
And they're not even being modest with it. That's the thing with me as well, is be a bit self-aware and be a bit humble and modest with it. But the wide stance and Lars still like nodding his head with that grin he always has, thinking he's the shit. And and the thing is, it's like, bro, just take a step back and you like, you know, just sit on some chairs. and, and
so
just
would the band be better if you got rid of Lars and if you got a new vocalist in, still have James on guitar?
No, but do you know what? You could have the same lineup, but I think it makes a world of difference in terms of presentation if they go out there, the legends they are, aware of being the legends they are, with a smile, and they just play their songs. And with this symphony and everyone enjoys it and you celebrate that together. You don't need to put on this performance like you're this huge thrash band that is still 20 years old. I think it's uncomfortable to me to see like older. This is such a shitty thing to say, and I feel bad about saying it, but it's uncomfortable for me to see these older legends performing like they're still in the 90s or
It's
still in
like
the 80s.
it's like when I'll compare it to
When
football.
they're
It's
not
like
reaching the notes and they're not keeping in time. That's the thing, is be aware of it.
it's like watching some geriatrics trying to play football. It's like watching like a soccer aid match where you suddenly got like 600-year-old Jurgen Klinsmann turn up and you're like, I don't need
Yeah,
to see you walking with your back weakened, your
yeah,
knees buckling.
completely. But mate, this looks like this is a really bad thing.
Fucking hell.
I'm sorry, but like I'm just not excited for it. The thing is, I'm just not excited for it. Like from the clips I've seen and from the trailer, it looks like a reunion gig when they never split up.
A reunion gig for an old high school band 50
Com
years later.
Completely. Like so, when if you've seen clips of when Led Zeppelin did their reunion gig, it's fucking beast. It's really, really amazing. But you know what? They haven't performed around each other in a long time. A couple of members died, and everything like that. It was the same with Pink Floyd when they perform now and stuff. They're there and they're smiling and they're modest and they know they're not as great as they once were, but they're okay with that. They're just enjoying themselves and happy to be in front of the fans again. And
Yeah.
it works so fucking well. But these guys, obviously they never split up, so they're fully entitled to, and they want to put on the show they want to 100% do that. But the problem is that they're just lacking self-awareness.
I think it's thing you can go in with that level of, I'm going to say arrogance, but I'll probably mean more confidence. You can go in with that level of confidence, but you have to be able to back it up. If you're not
Yeah.
doing that on stage, like their gigs are probably still fantastic when you're there as a live viewer, but if you're just watching like any of their live DVDs from the past 10 years, don't.
It's rough, man. Like we said, like the S&M one is where that's the last live gig where I've gone, fuck me, they're amazing. And do you know what though?
Yeah.
In S&M 1, they are more modest than they seem in S&M 2. Like in S&M 1, when you watch it, they're very respectful and they're very self-aware of the fact they got a symphony behind them. So they're rocking out when it really takes them, but for the most part in between they're stood still, they're looking back at the symphony, they're nodding, they're like, yeah, isn't this such a wild, cool thing we're doing?
So
And
we're
are the fans
saying
enjoying this with us?
so we're saying that they're either overconfident nowadays or they just legitimately don't care because they're Metallica.
But I think they really care because they've not changed the songs, and you know what I
See,
mean? Like
I would
there's
mark
too
that
much.
as a sign of not caring.
Do you think? In my head, like I think they're really nervous for this, so they've gone with a formula that works, and they're basically doing what was so successful before with a couple new additions.
I
Um,
think of it as, well, bear in mind, it wasn't ever supposed to be a sequel. I think that's one thing we're forgetting to mention here. The new one was a 20-year anniversary of it, basically,
yeah,
when they recorded
completely.
it.
Yeah,
But I sort of view it as, well, this shit sold out when we released it the first time. We can probably sell it out again.
completely.
But that's
Yeah,
if
yeah,
I'm being
yeah.
cynical.
Well, no, but that's how bands work. All these gigs are for money. I
Well,
mean,
yes.
Led Zeppelin, when they did their reunion gig, it was for money, man. Those were the most expensive tickets that have ever been sold for a live gig in the UK.
Well, John Cleese only ever did his talking tour because he needed to pay his alimony.
Exactly, yeah. But I like how he was always really honest about that as well.
Well,
Um,
the live DVD for it was called Alimony. It was the Alimony tour.
yeah, yeah. Um, I don't know. Do you know what? I'm probably being a bit. Well, I know I am being very unfair to them.
Oh, we
Um,
are. It's great.
and who the fuck am I? They're one of the biggest bands in the world, and I'm sat on a leather sofa in Southway, like doing fuck all. But at the same time, it's just
Your
I
worth
have
your worth as a human is not based on how much money you've earned by releasing songs. It's about how you are as a person.
good point, good point. And they are, but by all accounts, like I don't want to go into that whether they're lovely people or not.
Oh, I
But
reckon Lars is a bit of a cunt.
with the whole Napster stuff and that, um, but the
Well,
thing
they were
is,
kind of proven right on that, though, weren't they? That's the
yeah,
thing.
they were. I mean, their image definitely got shot by that. But I think I love them so much that I wish I'm being selfish. I love them so much that I just want more, and I want more that's different. And I get it, it's the 20th anniversary, so you're basically doing the same thing. Awesome. And yeah, I get it. If you want to still do a fucking power pose and that's still the way you see yourself and you're still moshing the fuck out and everything like that and you're doing all of that, if that's what you want to do, then by all means go and do it. And I'm sure there's a load of fans out there that really fucking love that. For me, I don't know why. Maybe it's because I took a break from Metallica, or maybe it's because I don't like the latest stuff, but it doesn't sit well with me and it looks uncomfortable.
Do you want me to do the other 16 songs from the new set list?
Oh yeah, go. Well, I don't. Do we have to? The thing is, what people are like, whether we go through the set list or not, it's essentially the same as the original. I mean, basically, just tell me you might as well just list the songs that are different.
Okay, so The Day That Never Comes, Confusion, Moth into Flame, Halo on Fire, Scythian Suite Op 20 Second Movement, which is not by Metallica. That will be the symphony that do that.
Yeah.
Iron Foundry, Unforgiven 3, All Within My Hands, and the biggie. Sorry, I was just double checking to make sure there are no other ones on there that were different. Anesthesia, Pulling Teeth.
Yeah, which does look fucking amazing.
Yeah, they've got
and admittedly now, after everything I've just fucking said for like the last half hour, yeah, there are a fair amount of differences.
But that's because if they hadn't released 3 albums since then, bear in mind, all those differences pretty much, the majority of them come off the latest album, so Hardwired.
Yeah.
Only a couple come off of Death Magnetic.
Yeah. I mean, maybe I'm just being super selfish. Maybe I just wanted everything to be completely different. Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm aware I'm being unreasonable. I'm being self-aware.
But... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So half of the set list is exactly the same.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I think that's what bothers me. It's like, this is going to be a 2-parter the same way the other one was a 2-parter. And just half is just a bit too much. I think that's just too much. I think if you're going to do some, like, yeah, maybe a third.
They've got more classic songs that they could have used.
Completely. To be honest, like, it's going to be a 21 song album.
Only 20 for this one.
20 for this one, sorry. And then I'd go, yeah, make a good...
That's not including Ecstasy of Gold, actually, because it would be 11 out of the 20.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So, yeah, but my point is like, if you're going to do a 20 album, I think it's way more reasonable, or you could have just made maybe 4 of those songs from the first one as well. The really fucking big hits. Then give the fans something new.
Well, another point to raise, though, is do the fans want to hear the modern stuff or the classic stuff?
Well, that's the thing, and I'm sure that's what they were weighing up. Well, yeah, and I'm sure that's what they're weighing up. And yeah, to be honest, there's probably a fuckload of fans that are 100% okay with this, and they're like, yeah, half the same, half new. That's way good enough for me. I get to hear all of their bloody classics, and I get to hear some new stuff. And there's a load of fans out there that would have never seen Metallica live, so they do want to see some of those other stuff performed.
Now that you've been riled up, I've just realised what's getting under my skin. It's the fact that they play No Leaf Clover on the second one, which was written specifically for the first one. Which, yeah, it's an anniversary gig, but why don't you just try and write? Oh, it's because I.
But that's the thing. Yeah, you could write a new song. But that's the thing. It's just that there's alternatives. You know, you've got so many instrumentals. You don't need to do Call of Cthulhu again. You wrote a new song for the first one. If you're making a sequel, why not try and write a new song for the second one? You know, you've got.
Well, they wrote 2 songs for the first one, because you have Minus Human and No Leaf Clover.
Completely, yeah, exactly. I forgot about Minus Human, and Minus Human is actually so sick. But, you know, you've got Battery in the first one, and you know that fucking worked. So why not go for, like, Seek and Destroy on the second one? You know, go for another hard-hitting thrash song.
Or go for some deeper cuts.
Completely. And the thing is, as we're saying as well, it's like time has changed. That stuff does seem a bit corny now. When you do your ballady kind of material, I'm not saying they are ballads, but they're closer to ballads. You do those sort of material with symphony, it's kind of like, oh yeah, it becomes a bit soppy and a bit like, you know, trivial. Whereas we know now, like I've said earlier, with bands like Avenged Sevenfold, you can do your heavy stuff with symphony and it works so well that why not do more of that? Go with the times.
Yeah, I agree. But it's also the thing if they didn't do Fade to Black on either of them.
Yeah, which is crazy because that would be so.
That would have been like the perfect one.
It would have been so fucking perfect.
But we're metal. We can't have two ballads.
But yeah, I'm gonna see this, and maybe I'll be completely wrong. I mean, maybe the one clip I've seen of Unforgiven 3 is just the dud of it, or maybe it works better in the context of the whole show. I don't know.
I doubt that. I doubt that.
Exactly.
So the thing is, though, this episode was going to be us talking about how great the first one was.
Yeah.
It's us talking about how shit they are nowadays instead. So the first one is well worth checking out. I'm going to quickly run through the set list of the first one.
Yeah, completely.
The original. So the Ecstasy of Gold, Call of Cthulhu, like I said, those two are exactly the fucking same. Master of Puppets, Of Wolf and Man, The Thing That Should Not Be, Fuel, The Memory Remains, No Leaf Clover, Hero of the Day, Devil's Dance, Bleeding Me. Nothing else matters until it sleeps, For Whom the Bell Tolls, Mine is Human, Wherever I May Roam, The Outlaw Torn, Sad But True, One, Enter Sandman, and Battery.
It's an amazing set list. Really, the first one has just an amazing set list.
I probably would have had less load and reload stuff, but obviously those were the new albums at the time.
Completely. I would have definitely taken off Fuel, but I've never liked Fuel.
Fuel, give me fuck, give me double
although with the symphony, that's one of the few songs on it with the symphony that's so cool.
Improves.
Because you just sort of go, oh wow, all of these people are going mental on their violins and shit. And you're like, and yeah, that's so cool.
But what it basically transcends it is basically him doing a shitty version of oh fuck, what is it called? Do you remember the band Bush?
No.
I think they did some. It might have been called Machine Head or something like that. I can't remember now. But which was a song all about cars. And now you've got this. It's like,
and the symphony, behind all of these songs, for the most part, like works so well, and it does embellish the songs stupidly well. I will say, like with one or two, listening back now, with songs like One, I prefer to listen to the original over the S&M version because that song has got so much space and emotion in it anyway. Yeah. That's when the symphony starts to make it sound a bit corny or a bit like a film soundtrack.
Yeah.
But that's really like only because I have listened to it years ago and now I'm looking back corny. So maybe if this is the first time you're ever listening to it, S&M, you won't feel that at all.
I think it improves the shit songs, but the great. Sorry, I've had to burp. Don't need to burp on mic.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, that was a big gulp of Coke as well. That was like 3 burps that we're trying to get out. It improves the shit songs, or the songs that aren't as good. Anything off of Load and Reload, it seems to improve. Like Hero of the Day, I could have done without hearing that song live. With the symphony, it's a bit better.
Oh, completely.
But the great songs, it doesn't have much of an impact on.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's
That's
just
quite
fun.
a sweeping statement, but
yeah, it is fun. I mean, Battery is my favorite on this album, and Battery is an amazing song anyway. And it is just fun to hear these guys going mental on an orchestra to a really fast thrash metal song. It's just fun, and it has it's just really entertaining to listen to. So I don't think it doesn't necessarily make it better, but it does make it. If you're coming to this album to listen to symphony and metal, then songs like Battery is what you're coming to see. That's the other thing about this album, I suppose, is like to shit on the first one a little bit.
Go on, keep flinging these poo pellets around.
It's amazing. But you know what? In terms of it being symphony and metal, they didn't necessarily pick a lot of them more metal songs.
Well, symphony Metallica, it's not symphony and metal.
I always thought it stood for symphony and metal.
That wouldn't necessarily make sense. It's symphony and Metallica.
Why wouldn't it make sense?
Well, it's Metallica that are playing with the symphony.
Oh, completely. But I would have thought symphony and metal does still make sense because they're a metal band.
They weren't at that point, though. They were sort of more hard rock. But it's symphony and Metallica.
Fair. Well, then
I think you're judging it too harshly.
Yeah,
based on
fair.
a misunderstanding.
Maybe I am then. So then the first one, now that I know that, the first one's perfect.
Yeah, no, I still think they could have done a lot more with the first one, but it's more understandable that they would be a bit more restrained because they didn't know the capabilities of what the orchestra would be able to produce and what would have
Yeah.
worked.
And I think that's it. It's like now that you do know that, and now that other bands have done that as well, you could be a bit more ambitious with this next one.
I think they knew that 20 years ago, though, and they didn't have Michael Kamen at the helm on the second one. To play devil's advocate here for a moment, I think if it was still Michael Kamen, they probably would have tried a bit more because he had that proven track record by that point. Then,
Yeah,
bear in mind,
true.
Michael Kamen had also worked with like Pink Floyd, Bob Dylan, Eric Clapton,
Yeah,
done all sorts of
this
things.
is true.
So you can understand the first one being a bit more restrained. The second one, if it was still Michael Kamen, I reckon. Actually, no. Do you know what? Fuck it. I don't reckon they would have. I reckon they're too goddamn arrogant.
Well, that's the thing, is that they really tried really hard with this first one and it paid the fuck off. And I think what bothers me a little bit with the second one is it doesn't look like they're trying as hard, in general.
Yeah, it's more.
Um,
It's more their sort of
it's
saying
just
it's a
safe.
luxury for you fans.
Exactly, it's safe. Which, whatever. I mean, like to bring it back a little bit, there, as we said, there are some really cool things that look really awesome on this next one. I am excited to hear some of the newer songs, like and anything from Death Magnetic. I'm really excited to hear with a symphony behind. I think they all sound really really cool. Um, and then the instrumental with that guy,
Anesthesia, pulling teeth.
that looks so good. That looks so brilliant.
Well, I don't think we watched the full thing of it
No, I didn't watch any of it. I only saw that on the clip of
on
the
the trailer.
Right.
So I've seen the full thing of it, of that
Yeah.
song. It's good. It's
Is
very
it?
good.
It's really cool. Really, really cool.
Yeah,
So there is stuff to look forward to on this second one. I think it is
the
overall
whole
going to be
one thing.
successful. No. But like I said, I think the day that never comes will be really interesting to hear with a symphony behind it.
Yeah.
I'd like to calm down a little bit. It may be a really fucking great project. It may
Well,
be really, really good.
the problem is they've only got 2 songs from Death Magnetic, and one of them you've already shat on. So your hope of like anything from Death Magnetic is gonna be great. It's like, yeah, well, half of those you've already said is
Do you know what
shit.
though? But like it isn't. It's not shit. It's just. It's still good.
Disappointing.
It's still good. It's just not. It's just misplaced. I think that's the thing. It's not even really the performance. Like it's not. Sorry, it's not even really the music of it. The symphony do a great job on that clip. I think the symphony are going to be mind blowing in this project. I think they're going to be excellent. They're going to be the stars of the show. Yeah, musically speaking, it's good. It's really good. I think it was just what bothers me about that clip, and then what I'm thinking about the whole thing is the delivery. It's the presentation of it being a live gig. I think listening to this just audio on an album may be really, really good. Of course, it will be very similar to the first one, especially considering there's a lot of the fucking same songs. But
I'm glad I picked this topic.
yeah, but all of the new stuff, audio wise, may be really, really lovely to listen to, which is what you're going to be doing most of the time once you own this project. What bothers me more is the DVD side of things, the actual live performance, watching it as a gig. It's how they're presenting it. It's completely what they want to do, and that's completely fine. I, as a massive Metallica fan for a long time, just find it a bit uncomfortable because it just looks like a little bit of a struggle.
This is my favourite episode.
Because I've just lost it.
Well, yeah, you've always you.
I tried to be really reasonable.
Do you know what I was saying? I'm gonna a little bit of a name drop here. When I was speaking to the Indelicates,
Right.
I was talking about how you rein me in usually.
Yeah.
And this episode is fucking amazing. I get to sit back. I get to be the good guy. Metallica awesome people. Listen to them all the time.
But the thing is that the only reason I'm like that is because of how much I love them. Like I'm not. I've really got to stress that is I think they're an amazing band, and
When
I
the
think
Stone Roses did their anniversary gig, they were humble and happy to be there. They had a good show.
yeah, they were amazing.
Yeah.
There you go. And that's the thing. But this isn't an anniversary.
Yeah, I was agreeing with you. You're looking at me as though I had a sting in the tail coming. It's like, no, I was like, back up your point a little bit.
No,
I just said,
thank you.
I
But
just said it in a way that was leading.
But that's exactly it. I mean, admittedly, actually, like the band were, not necessarily Ian Brown,
No, you can't
but
expect
that's
Mikey
just
Beck.
because he's got a, he's a very arrogant man, but a very talented man, very great man, but a very arrogant man, and he'd admit that, I think. Um, uh, so that did shine through, and that was a little bit uncomfortable to see them live. But you know what? That was a reunion gig, and this isn't, so that's where it doesn't quite compare. But obviously, it is an anniversary gig. I just think, yeah, I don't know. I need to stress how much I love Metallica. I really love Metallica, and they've been a big part of my life for a lot of my life.
So
Which
the
is
re
why I'm so passionate about this.
the reason I can do the whole angry man thing is because I don't then backpedal at the
Yeah,
end.
I know. That's the thing.
This is the issue now,
I
man.
need to stick by my guns.
Do. I think there's a lot of issues with the second one. I think the second one's going to be intriguing to listen to and watch, and it'll be a nice little thing. I don't think I'll listen to the very last song because fuck it, Sandman. But the first one is always worth a listen because it was original at the time. It still holds up, and it's vocally James works well on it. He at no point does his voice crack like he's
Yeah.
going through puberty again, which is an
They all
issue.
perform brilliantly, and they're instrumentally they're excellent in that. They're very clean. They're very clean, and they're very on point, and it's a fire gig, really fire gig.
It is. It's well worth a watch or a
Mm.
listen, depending how you want to do it.
Yeah,
But don't take our word for it. Take Metallica's. Take Lars Ulrich's word. It's fucking great, man. There you
yeah,
go.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. The first one's brilliant, and hopefully the second one is as well. I'm just clearly don't have a lot of hope for it.
I'm I'm imagining sort of an almost Third Reich-esque scenario where you only get the second one so you can set fire to it,
Exactly. Yeah.
or you'll get it and then you'll go, this is shit, and you'll grab all your Metallica albums and throw them in a pile and set
Yeah.
fire.
That's the thing. Maybe I'm just jumping to it. Do you know what? We live in a world of reboots, and that's how I see this. I see this as a remake slash reboot. And do you know what? If someone turned around to me and said that they were going to remake E.T., I'd be just as passionate as this about how shit it's going to be.
That wouldn't surprise me considering how much. Well, considering Steven Spielberg was partially responsible for raping Indiana Jones as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So
God
I
damn.
reckon E.T. is going to stick his little finger up his
I
ass.
really, I really hope they don't remake
Yeah,
E.T. That bothered
phone
me so
home,
much.
bitch.
Oh, God damn. But I think that's a good a way of seeing it, is that I kind of see this as a sort of remake slash reboot because they didn't try, they haven't gone as far different. And, I think because of the nostalgia and because of how excellent the first one is, it's set up to fail.
Yeah, problem is it will still be a commercial success.
Oh, 100%. Anything they do will still blow through, like, they're going to always be rich. Anything they do will always make a lot of money, and the fans will dig it. Like hardcore fans, because admittedly as well, I'll hold my hands up high and I'd say I love Metallica, always have. But I've fallen off the map with them a little bit because I'm not into their newer stuff that much.
Yeah, I would say that we're both probably more lapsed fans than anything
Completely,
else.
completely. I would still love to see them live. Despite everything I've said today, I would love the opportunity to see them live just for the sake that I can go, I finally see Metallica live.
Don't think I
Um,
would.
fair, fair. Um, it's just, yeah, so there will be hardcore fans that have stuck with them through thick and thin, love the latest album, that will dig this. They'll love it so much. I know they will. If that's what you're in, like if you're still a hardcore Metallica fan with this latest album, then you will think this is excellent. I'm sure you will. Um, so that's your
If
fan
you
base,
can,
then that's you, yeah.
if you can forgive the fact that they're not as good as they used to be, you'll like this.
Completely.
However, if you are a hardcore fan and you don't want to listen to this one, I would recommend you check out the Seattle 1989 gig or San Diego 1992.
Yeah.
Those are
Yeah.
the alternatives, where they
Yeah.
play a lot more variety of the music,
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and
Even
it
though they
sounded
had way less songs.
and it sounded good back then as well.
Yeah.
And you get to see Jason in his prime.
Yeah.
Um,
Or watch S&M 1 because it's brilliant.
yeah, you could do that.
Yeah.
I mean, basically, what we're saying is, in this album and in this podcast, it was supposed to sort of coincide with the release of the second one. Don't buy the second one.
Now, I knew full well coming into this that I wanted to have a rant about the second one.
Connor says, fuck Metallica.
Yeah,
They're our new
yeah.
Tom Morello.
Oh, God.
And on that note, I think before we cause any more damage to the legacy of these icons,
Yeah, these legends.
we should probably leave it at that. Have you got any parting words?
Uh,
Oh, do you want to know what my other joint favourite song was?
oh, yeah, go on.
Of Wolf Man.
Yeah. What, from the original S&M, yeah.
Yeah, it's the whole Jason factor. It's
Yeah,
back in vocals
completely.
again, man.
He was amazing. Actually, that's a good reason to watch the first S&M as well, just to see him as
He
a
was the only one.
bassist.
Him and Lars were obviously Lars playing drums, so he couldn't really dress up smartly. Jason was playing bass. He could have dressed up smartly. He didn't. He's too fucking metal.
Even though it was kind of his idea as well.
Yeah, he was just like, no, I'm going a G's and T-shirt, mate. I've
Yeah.
got some bassing to do.
Yeah, it's worth watching just for him, in all fairness. He's amazing. Really amazing.
They should have gotten back for the second one. Fuck it, if they're going to do a reboot, they've only replaced one of the cast.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, it's like doing a Fantastic Four reboot with the same cast from what, like, early 2000s, whenever that shitty one original came out.
Yeah.
They've replaced Tobey Maguire with fucking Andrew Garfield.
Stop with the remakes and the reboots.
And this goes to music, this goes to Hollywood, this goes to anyone. If you're rebooting shit, unless it's your PS4 because it's broken and you need to turn it back on.
Yeah.
Aside from that, you can do reboots. Reboot on your computer, fine. Don't reboot the arts.
Reboot or remake anything that was shit to begin with. That's something I'll give. That's something I'll give.
I know how we're going to make a shit ton of money now.
How?
We're gonna reboot the Mona Lisa.
I said reboot anything that's shit to begin with.
No, we're gonna reboot the Mona Lisa. Fuck it. If Metallica can reboot S&M,
that's just plagiary.
and Spider-Man could be rebooted 3 times. 2 times.
Reboot it if it's bad. If it's bad. So the thing is, like, if you look at like The Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing, that's an amazing reboot / remake. It's because the original was shit. Denis Villeneuve, one of my favorite film directors, he's making a remake of Dune, the book / film Dune. That's
By
going to be
Frank
coming
Herbert.
out. Yeah, exactly. And the book's amazing. The original film, not that great. Even though I love David Lynch, not that great. So that is a good film to do a remake for. But, don't reboot Spider-Man. Sam Raimi was a genius.
I'm confused. You were saying about The Thing. Was the 1982 one a reboot?
Yeah, John Carpenter's The Thing was not the original.
Was it not?
A lot of people don't know that. A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah, it's just because that one was so amazing.
Yep, it's one of the best remakes of a film ever.
I'll tell you what they can stop fucking rebooting and doing sequels for. And we're going off topic of music here. Jurassic fucking Park.
Yeah, 100% Jurassic World was shit.
Jurassic World was shit. The second one was shit.
And they're making another.
They're making another. Why?
Mm-hmm. Don't know, mate.
The Lost World, whilst not a great film, like in reality, I still enjoyed that film because nostalgia, but...
Yeah, the first and the second one is good. The first one was really good.
Oh, the first one's fucking amazing. I could watch that anytime and still be entertained. Yeah. It's got fucking dinosaurs in it, mate. They brought them back to life for that film.
Exactly. And also, if we're going on this rant, and we're talking about films now, stop making sequels when everything was good. Quit while you're ahead. Actually, it does fit into Metallica. Quit while you're ahead. Don't make a fourth Indiana Jones film when the first 3 was a perfect trilogy. I rate, this is controversial, even though I'm a massive Star Wars fan, I rate the Indiana Jones trilogy more than Star Wars trilogy, the original.
But I've only seen Raiders of the Lost Ark.
You haven't seen Temple of Doom or?
Nope.
What? So they're all 3 amazing. And actually, this is more controversial. I'm basically laying my whole beliefs on the line with this podcast, and people are going to hate me after. But
it's alright. We've only got 4 listeners. It's fine.
Yeah, fair. Temple of Doom is maybe my favorite Indiana Jones film, the second one, because the last hour is non-stop action, and it's some of the best action ever put to film.
I think you're fine as long as you don't say Kingdom of the Crystal Skull was your favorite.
No, that's fucked. That he gets in a fridge and survives a nuclear bomb. That's enough to turn anyone away.
Did you ever see the South Park episode where, yeah, where Carl's like, I witnessed a rape. It's just them raping Harrison Ford.
Yeah, grim.
Stop making fucking Terminator films as well.
Yep, they're bad.
We said all we could after the second one. We didn't need a third. We sure as hell didn't need fucking Genesis, shitbag, whatever.
Yeah, they're bad. Even the Marvel films, Infinity War was a good way to end it. You don't need any more Marvel films. They're gonna because they make all the money, but you don't need any more.
I thought Infinity War was fucking far too self-indulgent, or Endgame was, sorry.
Oh yeah, Endgame. Sorry, yeah, Infinity War amazing. Endgame not quite as good. I still enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it for the first hour. The other 6 hours, I needed a piss desperately, and I was sat in a cinema. Stop fucking doing unneeded sequels.
There you go. Christopher Nolan stopped after The Dark Knight Rises. Perfect place to stop. Don't need any more Batman films.
Yeah.
No one to quit.
Also, DCEU, don't bring out any more shit, please.
No, you're bad.
Just give it to somebody else. Let somebody else take it.
Who else should we yell at? I want to yell at someone else.
Tarantino.
Nah.
I like it.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was really good.
I haven't seen that yet.
Oh, it's really good. Really excellent.
To be fair, I need to watch Django as well.
What? You haven't seen Django?
No,
Have you seen Hateful Eight?
No, I haven't.
Dude, you're missing out on Tarantino greatness, man.
The last time I watched Tarantino film is when I had to bet on with you that I could watch them all, including stuff where he only did like one section or he was a producer on.
Yeah.
I could have killed myself after Kill Bill. But Inglourious Basterds was great, though.
Kill Bill was amazing. Kill Bill 1 and 2 are really good.
I think I was at a point of exhaustion.
Fair.
Because I remember watching...
Well, I mean, the problem is with Tarantino is that, if you watch too much of his films next to each other, it puts you in a weird place.
I'm going to admit something now. I technically lost that bet, but I still claimed that I won it.
Why?
I fell asleep during Sin City.
Well, did you watch True Romance as well?
No, I forgot about that one.
Because he wrote it.
I know. In hindsight, I think it was initially I was going after stuff that he directed on, but I misread with Sin City because he was a producer on it, but no, I did fall asleep. No, I fell asleep during Kill Bill 2. Sorry.
No,
that was what I fell asleep through. Because I remember
Tarantino. The opposite, please. I'm picking and choosing this, but Tarantino, please keep making films because you're still amazing.
He's not making sequels or reboots. He's making originals.
That's true.
Christopher Nolan, fuck off. Zack Snyder, fuck off.
Wait, no, why Christopher Nolan? Fuck off. He's great.
Oh, weren't we just talking about Batman?
Yeah, I said
Batman.
He stopped at the right time, and now he's still making amazing films.
James Cameron, fuck off.
James Cameron can fuck off.
Who else? M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah, fuck off.
Fuck off. Oh, the timing on that was perfect.
Yeah. David Lynch, I would like more, please. Please direct some more. You're good.
Who's the cunt who did... Michael Bay. Michael
Bay belongs in a bin. He can fuck off twice.
Yeah, there's only so many times you can reboot Explosions.
That is his whole career is rebooting Explosion.
Comment.
Yeah. And more Martin Scorsese though as well, please. I'd like more Martin Scorsese, more Tarantino.
I like more Scorsese, but without De Niro, Pesci.
More Denis Villeneuve. In fairness, like there are some people that can just do it because Blade Runner 2049 was better than the first Blade Runner.
Depends which version of the first Blade Runner you watch.
No, doesn't depend. I've watched all of them. Blade Runner 2049 is better than all of them.
Okay, I haven't watched 2049 yet.
You need to. It's amazing. It's probably in my top 5 films ever.
I can now understand why people think I'm toxic. I've just come to this conclusion on air. Oh, actually, I might need to cut that out. Just in case that does get listened to. No, it's I think fuck everybody who does the same shit time after time, except for this podcast, because we're varying it now, because Connor's getting angry, not just me.
Well, that's the point, you know, we're switching it up, we're going with it, we're developing.
Well, at least we improvise.
Exactly. And that lands us in shit.
We talk about new shit.
I'm going to get a load of Metallica fans chasing me with torches.
How many people do you think is going to listen to this, dude?
I don't know.
Well, actually, after the
What if this is
Intellicats.
the thing that blows us up?
Oh, what? And we get like publicly called out by Papa Het.
No, and Lars Ulrich is just like, what? He hates us?
I could take Ulrich in a fight. It's fine.
Fair.
I don't want to take on Hetfield or Trujillo though.
No, they're
Actually, I was going to say something really offensive then. I'm not going to. I'm going to be the bigger man here.
I was gonna say they look good. They look fit for their age.
I reckon a strong breeze will break Hetfield's elbows.
Oh bless.
What we could always do, we could always lure him into a trap whereby we'll get him to start playing Fade to Black and then explode him.
Okay.
It's happened before.
Yeah, it has. It has happened before.
Exactly. So we do it again. He might think that was a long time ago. I would never have this happen to me again.
You know, obviously they don't change, man. They don't learn. So he'll fall for it again.
Exactly. Trujillo though, I wouldn't fuck with him.
No, he's a scary man.
He looks like
great
a fucking
bassist.
gorilla.
Mm.
He would beat the piss out of us. He's got those long arms as well. He's got the reach advantage.
Yeah.
I think pound for pound.
I like him a lot. Actually,
Yeah.
He's the best musician in Metallica at the moment.
Trujillo, you can keep going, but you've got to fire the rest of the band.
Yeah. Yes, please.
And you've got to call yourselves Metallica 2.0. Or, if the original band's staying, you call yourself Metallica the Tribute Band.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, no, just call yourself Metallica 2 and play all the same shit you did the last time.
Or we should stop supporting Metallica and instead we should listen to Beatallica, who did Beatles songs in the styles of Metallica.
That's actually sick.
And that, I think, my friend, is where we're going to leave it.
Let's leave it there.
Fuck all of you.